the Collin Sexton conundrum over in Cleveland. It's a bit of a mess. They've offered him a 3-year, $40 million deal, which just seems like a slap in the face and just them throwing something out there. So maybe he'll get nervous and just take that sort of deal. He is coming off the back of an injury. You still worry about his size and his defense are still big issues for him, which is why he's not a guy that a lot of teams are looking at and that a lot of teams want to pay big money to. But can he still be a part of this Cleveland Cavaliers future?
The easy answer is yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the really difficult part of evaluating him is that the Cavs had such good success without him. But I'll let you pull up the off on numbers. So much of this has to do with Darius Garland and deciding what is their future, who are they committing to, and I think them committing to Garland wasn't a one or the other type situation. Collin Sexton is not a pure point guard, where Darius Garland clearly is a elite point guard, but I think they can still play together. We don't have to look at the success of the Cavaliers and extrapolate that as a nature of Sexton was pulling them down. I think Garland had a great year without him. But what don't you tell me? So you have the on-off numbers for Garland and Sexton. I don't particularly think they're incriminating. I think they're encouraging for Garland to have more volume and to do well with it. But it doesn't feel incriminating that Sexton was this dragging force to Garland. So you tell me.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not that element, but it definitely is positive for Garland, and it's something that I'm sure the Cavs have looked at, and that's why they invested and gave Garland the max deal earlier this summer. So last season he played 59 games without Sexton. Obviously, Sexton went down early with that injury. Garland's points per game went up by 5.5. His assists per game went up by 2.9. His field goal percentage increased by 0.5%. Obviously, only small, but that's a big positive when he's taken nearly 4 more shots a game. 3-point percentage took a little bit of a hit, but it's still a positive 37.6 for a guy who's likely taking a lot of contested 3-point shots because the ball's often in his hands. So he was up there averaging about 22.6 points, 8.7 assists, 1.3 steals, and shooting a solid near 46-38 splits, which was vitally important for this Cleveland Cavaliers team and for Darius Garland to really see what level of player that he was. And then you look at Sexton without Garland in the previous season, 2020, 2021. He only actually played 12 games without him, but it's a much smaller window. But at the same time, he only increased his points per game by 0.3. His assists went up by 1.2. His field goal percentage took a pretty big hit, -5%. And his 3-point percentage went up by 1%. So it was very small, marginal things that you wouldn't really look into too much. But you think in that smaller window, you would be expecting it to go up that extra bit more, because you think Collin Sexton thinking, I got to carry the team that bit more because Garland wasn't here. But that didn't really happen. He was probably a better player with Garland. They played 48 games the previous year. He was averaging 24 points, 4 assists, 1 steal, and shooting just under 49% from the field and 37% from 3. So you look at it and you think, Garland better without Sexton. Sexton not definitely better with Garland. But at the same time, Sexton had a very limited chance with this better roster, and Garland got a more honest opportunity to play with a more competitive roster compared to what Sexton had, which I think is something that you have to look at when you analyze these sort of stats.
Yeah, exactly, and that's precisely correct. And I'm glad we didn't bring up any like plus minus, because I mean the Cavs were just such a different team last year, and especially in the first half of the season. And I think a lot of that coincided with Bickerstaff, that it coincided with the synergy that you got from Mobley and Allen, and just the immediate maturity, like that third season jump that you got with Garland. Like all those things coalesced, and I think that still could have coalesced with Sexton there. Honestly, I thought that they would have been a better team with him there. And he was coming off a 24 point per game season, and I mean he was shooting 51% on twos. He was shooting 37% on threes. He was a 40%, and this is 2021, 2020, 2021. I'm not going to count his 11 games in 2022, just given that, it was clearly that he was on a cold streak and before he got really into any sort of groove. So it's shooting 41% on catch and shoot threes, which I think is huge to think about how he's going to fit into this team this year. They need 3-point shooting, absolutely need 3-point shooting, and they need him to be more of an off-ball player. And I think he can absolutely do that. And I'll say this is, I think this is undeniably true that Collin Sexton right now, he's the best athlete on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. He is the best rim threat that they have outside of, I mean, obviously Jared Allen and Mobley, but a guy with the ball in his hands, he is going to put the most pressure on the rim out of anyone on this team. And I think outside of, Okoro's a good slasher, good cutter, but Collin Sexton, I'd say, is also the best cutter on this team. So those things, put that alongside Garland as he's blossomed into a floor general. Those are things that you want to have on a team like this. I don't see the disconnect that some people have that, okay, Garland's turned into this lead guard. We can't have a guy like Sexton who's going to mess that all up. I don't see it that way. I see that he needs to adjust his role a little bit, and he's going to need to take more off-ball threes. He's clearly shown that there is some room for growth, but there is efficiency there, and he just needs to refine his role.
Thanks for watching Coast to Coast on YouTube. For full episodes, check out the show wherever you get your podcasts. And for all the best hot takes, subscribe to the Coast to Coast YouTube channel below.